Man, I feel super fancy. Look, I got a place to put my phone, place to put junk, got my cup holders, got my seat all adjusted where I need it. Alrighty guys, we are back with the 55 Plymouth. So I got this thing looking pretty good. We got our $180 spray paint, Rust-Oleum paint job on it, running great. Trans is shifting great. We got that cheap 318 Magnum out of a 1995 Dodge Ram in it. So on this video, what I want to do is go ahead and do the interior on it. Not fully do the interior. We're gonna hold off on the door panels, but at least get the seats done. So let me show you what we're working with. So if you guys watched my previous videos, we picked this car up. It had a locked up engine, and it was pretty much just covered in rat crap. So I cleaned up as best as I could and put through the seat cover on the bench. And our rear bench actually isn't in too bad a shape. Just got a rip right there on the top. We're not gonna worry about carpet yet. So let me show you what I have for seat. All right, so agenda. As always, the agenda on this is cheap, 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 comfort, and possibly better than original. If I was to cover the original bench seat, front and rear, we're talking about $3,000 to $5,000. This is gonna give me leather, it's gonna give me comfort, it's gonna give me electric, it's gonna give me compartments, it's gonna give me cup holders, it's gonna give me built-in seat belts, and it's gonna give me that high-quality leather smell. For drum roll, these front BMW seats, 100 bucks. Center console, 80 bucks. Rear Tahoe bench seat, 100 bucks. So I have under $300 in this whole setup. So basically I'm saving a few $1,000s, and I'm getting leather electric seats, which are gonna be infinitely more comfortable, and they're gonna match the modern times. So whenever I go through McDonald's, I can throw my, well, I don't drink Coke, but I can throw my water in the cup holder or my orange juice. I got kind of a Frankenstein situation going on here. We have BMW seats out of probably like a early 2000s BMW, 2006, 2005. They are electric. They go forward, backward, up, down, they tilt, they recline, and the headrest actually even goes up and down. Probably not gonna hook the headrest up because that's a little ridiculous. For our center console, this is out of like a 2016 Tahoe, and it has storage compartments on the top. I'll tell you guys what that is here in a second. It lifts up and there's a seat. So I think it's called a jump seat, and there's a seat belt in it in case the kid wants to ride, and then the bottom has a compartment too. My plan on the front seats, I have these switches that I ordered from Amazon, and I went ahead and wired the seats. And I tested everything, and trust me, my butthole was puckering because these seats have airbags in them, and I did not want to hit the wrong button and have this thing ejecto on my face. But I got everything wired up, and I'm gonna go ahead and install these kind of switches on it. Just a basic switch to where I'm not gonna have to use a relay. Because, you know, normally it would be reverse polarity, where you'd have positive, negative. Let's just say, for example, for your forward and backward, you would have a positive and negative for that motor. Well, if you put positive here and negative here, it would go forward. Now, if you switch the polarity, meaning you take the positive and the negative and switch them, it would make the seat go backward. So this makes it where I don't have to have a relay, and, you know, forward would be positive, negative one way, backward would be positive, negative the other way. All right. For our back seat, this I believe is out of a 2015 to 2016 Tahoe. It is electric. It does have seat belts. I need to find the shoulder part buckle belt for them, but I don't think we are going to hook up the electric motors to it, and I'll show you why. So on this rear seat from the factory, it actually lifts up this way. It lifts up this way and then folds down. Whole back seat, you can use it as, you know, to haul stuff like a wagon. It's, you know, it's a wagon. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm just gonna pull the front seat out, pull the rear seat out, and see what we're working with. And I may have to figure out a way to split this seat in half and put the bottom seat on the bottom, bolt it on, top seat on the top, and bolt it on. Now this whole setup, I know for a fact is going to add weight to the car. I really wish I would have gotten a baseline and took it to the scrapyard and weighed the car before the V8 swap and then after the V8 swap and interior. But I have a guy in another state. He's got the same exact wagon, same exact drivetrain. He's gonna go ahead and take his car and he's gonna weigh it and give me the numbers. And then once we finish the whole entire swap and interior, we're gonna run it across the scales and see what how much weight we added to the car. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull these seats out and I'll show you what we're working with and kind of get somewhat of an idea. All right, so now that the cover is off, you can kind of see what we're working with here. It's in complete and total disarray. It's bad. It's got tape, it's got foam, it's got all the essentials. Should be pretty easy to take out. I believe this just pops right out and then the frame should just bolt. Wait a minute, is this even gonna fit in there? What are we working with here? 60 inches. Okay, that's literally a perfect fit. Whatever this is, horsehair or whatever they put in those old seats. You know, you get on the highway with the window down and that stuff just pulls out of the seat and just flies all around. So it's this stuff. Kind of looks like old potato sacks. I don't know. My house was built in 1934 and whenever I redid the drywall in it, it had this like potato sack looking stuff stapled to the ceiling. Matter of fact, let me show you. So this was one of the sacks that I saved from the house. It's pretty neat. It's actually says Trojan brand potatoes on it. And the way they built the house was they put tongue and groove boards on the ceiling and walls and they stapled these potato bags for insulation, you know, because it was during the Great Depression. But I don't know, off topic, but thought that was kind of neat. So yeah, pretty much I was able to save. That was the only potato sack that I was able to completely save because most of it kind of got textured over. So, alrighty, let me pull this seat out and then pull the rear. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Check this out. This is pretty cool. So this seat is the original seat. It's never been unbolted since 1955, and it's bolted to this piece that flips up. So I know it was sealed and I know there was no way for anything to get in there, but check out what I found. In between the seat and the frame was an old beech nut fruit stripe 5 flavor gum package. I looked it up and it's a 50s package, so I'm assuming old dude that was on the assembly line, his job was to throw the seats in these cars. He was probably chewing some gum, had a wrapper. Right before he threw the seat on, he threw it under the seat frame and bolted the seat down, so that's kind of cool. And then right here, I don't know what this is. Knight's Restaurant Coffee Shop, breakfast lunch in Hollywood, choice food, moderate prices, ample free parking, Sunset Boulevard. That's kind of cool. Somewhere in California. That's cool. I wonder if this place is still around. I'm gonna look it up. Okay, so I cut the seat all apart. This is what I'm left with. This stuff is super heavy. So the seat pretty much doesn't weigh anything anymore. I mean, we're probably actually taking weight away from the car. So I need to make that fit on that. To make these seats sit back at an incline, I'm gonna take this piece of 2x6, I'm gonna paint it black, flat black, and I'm gonna screw the seats to the 2x6 and then screw the 2x6 to this frame, and then just straight through. On the back of these seats, it actually has a metal back plate, so I'll go ahead and put the seat on the back, screw the seat to the back plate, and then boom, we should be good to go. Definitely better than what was on there. I'm not even gonna show you guys what's inside there. It's disgusting. It's just full of rat's nest, and there was even some dead mice in there, so scorpion and a card on the top of the seat. There was a card for electing Byron Jones, 48th Assembly, Felony crimes in California, 1952. It's showing how the crime rate in California has risen. This is probably around 1966, I guess. That's cool. I'm sure somebody in the comments will know who Byron Jones is. Okay, so I got the rear seat bolted in. I mean, it's not bad. Once I put some door panels in, it'll look real good. But I got the front seat, the driver's seat bolted in, and then I just went ahead and drilled out my 3 rear and front holes, bolted it down, and it's super solid. The hard thing is going to be the center console, and then weld on tabs, because it actually bolts sideways and it's a lot wider than the trans tunnel. So I'm gonna have to cut the plastic, mock it up, and then figure out little tabs. I'm just gonna have to play with it and see what I come up with. Okay, since I have the seats mocked in, I went ahead and bolted the center console on, and this is the way that I did it. I took a piece of rectangle tubing. It was 2x4 metal. It's the tubing that I used to build this metal building that we're in right now, and I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again until I had just an L piece. It's literally just an L bracket, and then I mocked it in place, tacked it, put a dot, drilled a hole, bolted it on, and I actually welded the nut to the L bracket on the back side, so it's welded. So you could actually just zip these bolts out, zip each one of these bolts out on each corner, and then pull the whole center console out. 4 bolts, impact, bam, 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 bam. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the seats back in, bolt them in, and show you guys what it looks like. All right, so the seats are in and they look absolutely spectacular. I really need to replace this portion of the floor. It's pretty rotted out, but seats are super solid. So now I'm trying to figure out what I should do with the switches for the electric seats. Kind of been sitting here pondering and thinking. You know, I don't want them somewhere shown where you can see a bunch of buttons, because there's going to be 4 switches per seat. So I'm going to have 8 switches, which is a lot of switches. So this is kind of what I've come up with. You know, I was thinking in here, but I'm going to be throwing junk in there, and then they're going to accidentally get hit. If I put it right here, you're going to accidentally hit it. So this is kind of what I came up with. This is my idea. I'm really never going to use this compartment down here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount my switches on the front of this compartment. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can run my wires in here, and later on I can, if I need to hide anything else or run anything else, I can use that as just like a little wiring junction box. All right, so change of plans. The metal frame is in the way. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put this, because the switches really aren't gonna get used all the time. I mean, I'm pretty much gonna set my seat and then forget about it, and then my wife will set her seat and forget about it, and unless, you know, whenever a passenger gets in the back, you're just gonna tilt the seat forward. But I got it crudely sketched in place. I'm gonna drill these holes out, pop them in. They're crooked, they're not perfect, but you're not gonna be able to see them. Okay, so I know this may, oh crap. Okay, I know this may look kind of confusing, but it's really, really simple. It only seems confusing because there's a lot of wires. So basically this is how it goes. All your red wires go to your positive, coming from your battery with a fuse. The black wires all go together and they go to a ground, which I'm just gonna screw straight to the seat frame. And then each one of these switches has 2 wires, which is your power and your ground, and it's going to switch polarities whenever you hit the switch. So positive, negative, and then hook these two to each one of your motors on your seat, forward, backward, up, down, tilt, and then adjust the seat bottom. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the car and then run a power wire down to it. All right, so it looks a little crazy, but this is what we got going on here. We have our ground that goes straight to the frame for the center console, and that is welded to the body of the car, so that's a good ground. The connector is soldered on. We have all of our wires for our driver's seat going to the left side, wires for our passenger seat going to the right side. Only thing I have to do now is hook up our power wire, and we should be lit up. And I went ahead and loomed all this too, so that way from the back seat, it's just, you can just see a wire loom instead of a bunch of wires running. A little bit cleaner, keep it a little bit nicer. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this power wire. I think I'm just gonna run it straight off of the power wire from the radio and just put a piece of wire loom on the floor. And then one day, probably not anytime soon, I'll go ahead and carpet it and just cover all these wires, or cover the wires that I have running up. All right, so I got my power wire running off the back of the radio. I need to go ahead and zip tie that up, but here she is in operation mode. The switches aren't in any particular order. They're just, I just plopped them in and hooked up the wire, so. Pretty cool. It kind of sucks a little bit that I have to, because I'm probably gonna have the center console. I know I'm gonna have the center console down like all the time. So it kind of sucks that I have to flip this up like halfway and then reach down my hand down in there. But it's hidden, it's out of the way, and yeah, it works. So, oh, check out this center console. It has a seat belt too. So I think next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and clean the car out and then go take it up for a test drive. All right, time for that test spin. Man, I feel super fancy. Look, I got a place to put my phone, place to put junk, got my cup holders, got my seat all adjusted where I need it. See, this is nice. Oh yeah. See, this is next level right here. See if Lonnie's home. It makes this car way easier to drive. I mean, this thing is smooth now. You just feel a lot more comfortable. Need to put seatbelts in it. Turn on the tunes and go for a cruise. I'll catch you guys later.